I'm doing this video in case I don't remember tomorrow. The scenario goes like this. When you start Monopoly, that's where I'm going to count from when I start. If I roll a 30 and go to jail, when I get to jail, there is a card in the game that says, pay $50 and get out. Well, 50 means the 5 pass. The O means the area you were within, that range area of 10. So when you get that $50 out and you take it, you actually should be moving over to the trains, because you got to go home, to Pennsylvania, where the Liberty Bell is. And you just got out of jail with a $50 bill. It was a 50. It wasn't a 5. 50. Yeah, thank you. It was stolen money. It was a theft. It was a thief. When you go over to Pennsylvania, it would be the 15th roll on the dice. The letter O, which is the water. The water continuously moves, whether it's the waterfall, the Mississippi River, or any other number of places in this world. Whether it's geysers, the water must move through the O letter, because O in French means water. It's a passage. Niagara Falls, beauty, they fall, it turns into white. White you can't get. Even though for housing and painting it seems like white is easy. The white's one of the hardest things to get, because you got to make it white. Well, you got to make things the other colors too, but usually if they just fall together, the other colors will be darkened. Darkened enough that in the dark, they look black, taking away the light from our life. So now that you would be onto 30 of your roll, and 5 to get out is 35, 3 and 5 if it's 8, it's a basic place of heaven. It is also the 15th letter, and the 15th letter is the 1 and 5 number. 1 and 5 equals 6 plus 15. You got 21 blackjack, you're into life. When you go to jail, or let me do this another way. If I roll 30 the other way around the board, I end up going to visiting jail. It would be number 11, but I had to get 30 to get there. That would total 41. Now, if I start on go and I roll 41, I end up on the Mediterranean that I can only get from go 41, 81, 121. 11 by 11 is 121. The only reason I can get it that way is because either I land on it or I pass it. And once I pass it, I've went around the board more than once. The next time we'll hit it is number 81. 9 times 9 is 81. Make the world go round. Not only that, when you go back to ending up in jail, you see, we're only visiting jail. That's why it's only $50 to get out. Because we're only visiting jail. We're only in here to visit. So we go to jail and $50 gets us out. $50 is one part. Or let's say, $50 would be 1/4 of a bicentennial. 1/4 would be 1/4, 1 day, 1 extra day, added on to the year inside a leap year happening once every 4 years. If I go around the board on 30 from start, I end up in the 31st position. 30 plus 31 equals 61. 61 moons on Saturn. But they're still changing the count. But that's okay. We're into the 60s. We got one area. That's point. If we went around the other way to 11 plus 30, that would equal 41. Now the question comes in. Where are the 22 other moons? 2 and 2 is used for the expression of life. The other thing I wanted to show you is if I start from go here, I go to jail, free parking, and a visiting jail, C letter. Or I go from go here, over here visiting jail, to free parking, back to jail. If I put these two together, they make an H. We stand the H up because man is walking and living. He walks. The line that goes from one end of the H to the other one, that's man's walking. The vision is his space. Another thing to look at is this over here. Why do I design it like this? Because if this was a flat surface, I would put it from here and I'd go up this way. But if I was starting on a flat surface, I would come to the corner of the floor. I'm only going to build the triangle because it's from the triangle we get the square. I go this way one side and halfway up. And then I go while I'm on here, halfway up to here, and all the way down. And now we've got a triangle. And this is point 0. Even though there's a point here, this is number 5. Because if you flip it over, 5 is in the center, 2 and 8 would be at the top. Time heaven, T and H. We're flipping over triangles. We're moving into squares. The prisms, or the prisons, because the prison is the mind from within we live. We have to live with what we hear that surrounds our daily bread. Another thing about that is if we had any kind of movement of water, it would funnel in this way. It would go into the reservoir, and then it would leave. We must always have reservoirs, because if the salmon went up the river, and he went up and up and up, and he could never stop, he would be tired and he would die from a heart attack. But if he had a place to rest while he was on the way up, oh, Hail Mary. You know what I'm saying? Good salmon lives. So, we now figured out the 61 moons of Saturn, plus there's 63 moons of Jupiter, and since they should be the 2 biggest pigs out there, the total would be 124. 124. 7. They used to say Jupiter now has 66 moons, and they said Saturn had 60. So if Saturn had 60, and Jupiter was still at 63 moons, that would make 1, 2, 3. I guess it works in order in space as well as here in Earth. Whether I'm onto something or not, ask me to explain anything. That's the only thing I like to do. The day I cannot explain it, well, the day I'll have to try a little bit harder. And I'll never get about, because I always think there's a connection. But I'm usually going to find a simple reason for to tackle this kind of situation or the next. Otherwise, I would burn myself out. Raphael 7286.